Winterfell is yours, your grace.
Winterfell is yours, your grace. Holy fuck! Oh my god, gee, awesome. Ask and ye shall receive. HBO gods have gifted us with a 6-second Game of Thrones Season 8 clip. We have waited 15 months and have a little less than 100 days to go, and I will attempt to get through this video without having a stroke. Winter is here. Winter is finally here. This video will contain spoilers for Game of Thrones Season 8. Before we get started, please slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 421. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and then make sure you have your notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Okay, so jumping right into this, during the 2019 Golden Globe ceremony, there was a promo clip that was shared for HBO's upcoming 2019 content. And in that promo clip, much like the last one that we received, I believe it was back in September of 2018, it had a little teaser. This time, actual dialogue, and we got to see Daenerys's Season 8, a costume full on. We got to see a bit of Jon Snow and a bit of Sansa, but more so, this focused on Daenerys in her new white coat. Now, this is insanely shocking because we weren't really expecting any kind of new teaser, and really we thought it was going to be another one that was similar to the Dragonstone War Room teaser, where it focused on Aegon's war table, and we got to see most of the figurines that Daenerys and a lot of her council planned over last season. We got to see those figurines get washed over by a blanket of ice. So according to my sources and several sources on Reddit/Freefolk, we weren't supposed to get a teaser until about mid-January, and it was going to be something very similar to that. A lot of us predicted that it was going to be Winterfell instead of Dragonstone, and maybe we'd get to see the Winterfell crypts, and the statues underneath the crypts would be turning into ice. My source confirmed that there would actually be statues of Ned, Robb, Catelyn, and Rickon all turning into ice. But no! HBO did us one bigger, and they showed us actual characters and a line of dialogue. And I want to focus on that in a second, but this could really only mean one thing for the marketing team. The lack of promotion, where we haven't really seen any new footage of the season, is all going to start wearing away. In every sort of upcoming promotional event, we got to keep our eye out for actual footage of Season 8 being posted. I don't expect the big trailer to break till maybe at the earliest sometime in February, but we'll for sure have it come March. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel so that you get notified of the latest and greatest breaking news in regards to Game of Thrones Season 8. A lot of us are thinking we may get something around the Super Bowl time, like during the ads, but getting back on track to the teaser here, the opening shot of this teaser is an overhead shot of Winterfell. Then we zoom in on Daenerys being walked up by Jorah to Jon Snow and Daenerys. Now, I sort of slowed down my speech there because I wanted you to focus on that's an interesting dynamic that we have. Jon Snow and Daenerys are not arriving into Winterfell hand in hand. Instead, they're playing the precautious route, and I don't think they're going to openly go into Winterfell dancing. Now, it's nearly impossible to tell if that's not the actual case, but the fact that Jon is already with Sansa makes me sort of think that he's probably had some sort of conversation with Sansa before Daenerys has even really entered. Jorah has always really been Daenerys' protector. He did betray her, but then he ultimately paid his dues through exile and then coming back into her service and getting in her good grace. It's interesting that it's Jorah and not Grey Worm. I think Jon has really thought this well through here. In the novels, Jon Snow is a lot smarter than his character counterpart appears to be on the show. I think it's easier to explain someone's intelligence level in the books because we do have, the voiceover, the fact that Jon Snow is a POV character. We get to literally see inside of his brain, and that's impossible to communicate on screen. So it's easier to say, oh, the book person's smarter than the show counterpart. It's just a different level of insight that we get as the reader as opposed to the viewer. But what Jon may have done there by having Daenerys walk up with Jorah is we got to remember, Jorah is a Mormont from Bear Island. Jorah is a fellow Northerner. So if they want to appear in the Northern folks' good graces, Sansa being the Lady of Winterfell, so even if she will call out Jon in public, she still has to put on the front that she is a proud Northern woman. So the fact that they have Daenerys meeting Sansa with not only Jon as an audience, and I'm sure the other Starks are just around the corner, but also you have Northern lower-born citizens watching Daenerys being brought to Winterfell by the King in the North, being accepted by the Lady of Winterfell, and being walked in by her Queensguard, who is also a Northernman. Now, the reason why I was saying I think this is Jon's idea is because last last season. Remember, he was the one who said it would be smarter for them to go to White Harbor and then journey on horseback to Winterfell, so that the northern people won't see Daenerys as a threat and more as an ally and just a regular person who's come to aid them in their time of need. I don't really think it'll be Jorah's idea, because we saw with Jon trying to give Jorah back Longclaw. Basically, Jon was telling him as the king of the north, you know, you're with me north of the wall. Your sins that my father accused you of are pretty much forgiven. But Jorah, still feeling the guilt of the sins that he's committed in his past, was like, no. So I don't think Jorah would be hesitant to use his northerner status as sort of like a tool for Daenerys. Now, I will get to the dialogue that Sansa has, the one line of dialogue that we have in this full 6-second clip. But first, I want to talk about the outfits. Now, I briefly did mention those at the beginning of this video, but a lot of people tend to comment down in the comment section whenever I mention something about the actors' new wardrobe for the up and coming season, and I always think to myself, well, they must be new here. The main reason why super fans focus on the outfits for the characters in the up and coming season, because it's a dead giveaway to the type of moves and the type of plays the character is going to be playing out in the season. For instance, let's use Sansa as an example. For the first 3 seasons, she mostly had like flowery gowns, really pretty summer colors, but then as soon as she made plays and moved out of King's Landing, she switched to a whole darker wardrobe. Like, yes, she was portraying as Elaine Stone, Littlefinger's niece, but the fact that she was wearing an all dark gown showed you that she was growing up and coming into her own as a character. A lot of us in the fandom dubbed her as Darth Sansa. And to be honest, in retrospect, it was foreshadowing for a much darker time that was coming for her in her journey. Then also, we have just as recent as season 7. For the most part, we saw Arya in rags and really shitty outfit clothes. But then when we got these promo pictures for the Stark family reunion that happened in season 7, we saw that Arya was wearing like full-on Stark leather. She started to wear something that was very similar to the northern regalia that's associated with House Stark soldiers. So when we got to see Arya in her new Stark leather, we knew that she officially did make it back home to Winterfell. There was a big guess as to what she was going to do, because after killing all the Freys, we thought she may head back down south to take out the Lannisters. And now on to Daenerys' coat. I really do think that this is dead on similar to the one that we saw her in Beyond the Wall last season. This is going to be her northern attire. The one main thing that I think they've added is they've enhanced the red undersews, and then she's also rocking this red like handkerchief looking thing, which in my opinion, and now trust me, I'm no damn fashionista, but in my opinion, it sort of just gives her a more regal look. I think she's going to be very upfront and open about that she's a Targaryen and she's proud. She is there to help them, but she does still intend on reminding everyone that she is their queen. And that brings me to where we get that line of dialogue, which is from Sansa, and she says, "Winterfell is yours, your grace." And it kind of looks like the way that it's cut, Daenerys has like a bit of a, oh really, I kind of wasn't expecting that. I will say 100% confirmation that Jon looks like he has a massive weight lifted off his shoulders. Now, I did mention at the beginning of this video that I think Jon probably went and had a bit of a conversation with Sansa before bringing in Daenerys. Maybe he went ahead and announced her titles as she's walking up, perhaps to save a little bit of time on the introduction. But in all seriousness, I'm pretty sure Jon and Sansa had a bit of a conversation beforehand. Ever since the reunion in season 6, she has this habit of blurting out and interrupting Jon when he's in the middle of saying something, and sometimes that can come off to other Northerners as a bit undermining, and it sort of takes away from Jon's position of power a little bit with him being king of the north. I do think it's awesome because Jon is an open ruler and he wants to have other people put their input in. Just the way Sansa was doing it could seem a little bit, daunting for the most part, but I think she's going to end up curbing that. With Daenerys around, she's going to be playing her cards close to her chest, which is, in my opinion, exactly why she said, "Winterfell is yours, your grace." It was a bit of a shocker to not only Daenerys, but also us watching. We do know that Sansa went out saying that we are the Starks, we are the pack, we gotta stick together. This is our home, we've gotta fight for our home. So why in the hell is she just offering Winterfell up to this foreign queen? Well, to me, that's obvious. She's playing the Game of Thrones. The reason why Daenerys seems so caught off guard is because I'm sure she's been reminded or just been told a little bit of who Sansa was by Tyrion, who got to know her all throughout season 2 and 3, and then also Jon Snow, who's most recently had to deal with her. If you'll remember, last season in Game of Thrones season 7 episode 3, well obviously season 7 because that was the last last fucking season. But when Jon first arrives to Dragonstone, him and Tyrion begin having a conversation on their walk up to Dragonstone. And Tyrion mentions about Sansa that she's a lot more clever. Can I speak English? Sansa is a lot more clever than she lets on. And Jon responds with, oh, she's letting on. And that conversation is what makes me think Daenerys has been very well briefed on how Sansa may be, and she may come off as a bit abrupt. It is shocking that she's basically bending the knee to her without actually bending the knee. She's telling her that Winterfell is hers. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a very similar sentiment that Ned Stark shared with Robert Baratheon back in Game of Thrones Season 1. There was an article that was posted by Entertainment Weekly by this dude who got to tour the Game of Thrones Season 8 set, and he said that the episode he saw, the first episode, parts of the little clips of the filming that he saw while he was on set, he said this introduction of, Daenerys to the north is very similar to Robert back in Season 1. In my opinion, the main difference is going to be is that Robert came to the north wanting something. He wanted Ned to come down and replace the deceased Jon Arryn as his hand to the king. Bobby B literally told Ned that he wanted him to come down and rule his kingdom so that he could shit, piss, fucking have sex with all the whores he wanted to. Daenerys, on the other hand, has arrived to Winterfell seeking nothing, only offering aid. She was just up north, and last time she was north of the wall, she lost one of her kids. So now she's coming back to the north and providing more assistance. This, along with the fact that Sansa's going to be playing her cards very close to her chest, are, in my opinion, the reason why she reacted this way when Daenerys walks up with Jorah. If you noticed, even Brienne in the background is kind of caught off by Sansa's reaction. But trust me, there will be a bunch of plotting and scheming in that first episode. This is, after all, Game of Thrones. Alright, and with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could please slap a like on this video. The like goal is going to be 421. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and then make sure every notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. And also, super special shout out to every single person watching this video right now. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.